Dear students, today I am going to deliver a lecture on SARC, which forms a part of the syllabus of BA Final as well as MA. The trend towards regional arrangements is an interesting development in international relations. After the Second World War, several regional organizations emerged worldwide, and SARC is one amongst them. At the onset, I would like to explain as to what SARC actually means. SARC is a regional organization of South Asian countries which was established in 1985 to promote friendship and cooperation among them. This slide shows the part of the globe represented in SARC, and if we talk in terms of population, it represents nearly 1.5 billion people. Peeping into the historical background of SARC reveals that the first concrete proposal for establishing a framework of regional cooperation in South Asia was made by former President of Bangladesh, Zia-ur-Rahman. He addressed letters to the heads of the state of South Asian countries presenting his vision. A series of meetings followed, and finally a charter formally establishing SARC was adopted in 1985. There are 7 founding members of SARC, namely India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Maldives and Pakistan. Later on, Afghanistan was included as its 8th member in 2007 during the 14th summit of SARC held in New Delhi. Now, every organization is based on certain fundamental principles, and SARC is no exception. The 5 principles underlying SARC are respect for sovereign equality, territorial integrity, political independence, non-interference in the internal affairs of the other member states, and mutual benefit. Similarly, it has outlined certain positive aims and objectives also, as for instance, to promote the welfare of people of South Asia and improve the quality of their life, to accelerate economic growth, social progress and cultural development in the region, to promote and strengthen collective self-reliance among the countries of South Asia, to contribute in the mutual trust, understanding and appreciation of one another's problem, to promote active collaboration and mutual assistance in the economic, social, cultural, technical and scientific field, to strengthen cooperation with other developing countries, to strengthen cooperation amongst themselves in international forum or matters of common interest, to cooperate with national and regional organizations with similar aims and purposes. As regards the organization of SARC, it consists of 6 main organs, namely the meeting of the heads of the state/government, which is the supreme policy making organ and ordinarily meets once a year. Then the second is the Council of the Ministers, which has foreign ministers of all the members of the SARC. Then the Standing Committee, which comprises of the foreign secretaries of all the member states of SARC. Then there is the Technical Committee, which also has the representatives of all the member states. Then Action Committee, it implements the projects, and lastly the Secretariat, which is the head office of the SARC. I would like to tell something briefly about the Secretariat of the SARC. The Secretariat of the SARC, as depicted in the slide, is located in Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. It was established in 1987 and is headed by a Secretary General who coordinates the program of SARC, arranges the meetings and maintains their record. Presently, a Pakistani national, Amjad Hussain B. Sayal, is the General Secretary of SARC. The meetings of the heads of the state or the government are known as SAARC summits. Till date, 18 such summits have been convened in different countries. If any head of the state expresses his inability to attend the summit, the meeting is postponed. As is obvious from the list, India has hosted 3 SAARC summits. The member countries of the SAARC have identified several areas of cooperation like agriculture, trade and finance, education, science and technology, information and communication, health, energy and environment, tourism and social development, culture, sports, meteorology, and the list goes on and on. Now we move on to the most crucial part of the topic under consideration, that is, what is the importance of SAARC or its positive outcomes. Now, SAARC has afforded a platform to the South Asian nations to discuss their common issues like poverty, illiteracy, unemployment. The members of the SAARC have benefited a lot from the mutual trade. The members of the SAARC held each other in the times of need, which imparted them with a sense of collective security. The cultural exchange of artists among these countries has proved beneficial. Together, these countries are determined to meet the threats posed by terrorism. South Asian Development Fund has been established to encourage regional investment in various plans being implemented by SAARC nations. SAFTA has been signed to remove hindrance in the way of trade. And lastly, a South Asian university has been established in New Delhi to encourage mutual cooperation and understanding among students of SAARC countries. Lastly, I would like to discuss the problems, the limitations, or the challenges before SAARC, which are adversely affecting its effectivity. Firstly, it is a difference in the nature of the political systems in member countries which poses a problem and creates difference in their approach to various issues. Then another factor is their inability to resolve their disputes, which disrupts mutual goodwill. The difference in the areas of various member states also creates imbalances. Some of the states are very large in size, others are comparatively small, and because of these differences in the region, there are some problems. Misunderstandings and lack of trust among the members restrict their unity. They are very suspicious of each other, do not trust each other, and where there is lack of trust, obviously effectivity has to be a victim. Economic competition among SAARC nations for same goods in foreign markets also creates bickerings. The members of the SAARC fear India because of its large size and dominant position. The summits of SAARC, which to begin with were held every year, are now becoming very irregular. This delays policy formulation and implementation of plans. Big powers like China, Japan, America want to run SAARC according to their wishes. The member nations of SAARC are mired in problems due to overpopulation. Their administrators are also not good, efficient, and responsible. Corruption is rampant in most of them, which hinders their progress. Hence, I would conclude that the purpose for which SAARC was established has not fructified due to multifarious obstacles, and the need of the hour is to ensure its effectivity by removing the irritants.